All right, so welcome everyone to today's webinar. I'm Charu Gupta, and I'm so glad to be a moderator along with Nikhil Kumar Tulsian, who you are all familiar with, and I just muted for today's talk. For all you enthusiastic participants, and this turnout is truly amazing, and we know that you're clearly very, very excited to be a part of this talk today. Biopatrika is a unique online science communication platform that brings you true, well-documented, and global information. We are by, for, and from our science enthusiast community and support several traditional as well as out-of-the-box scientific dispensation ideas. SciConnect is, as the name suggests, our connection to the real lives of scientists, entrepreneurs, mentors, students, and mentees. SciConnect brings to you stories, the struggles, and the wins. It's not the destination here, it's the journey that matters. And today, we have with us two excellent speakers who, while being amazing at what they do and such accomplished men, never forgot where they came from. They empathize with the problems faced by all of us during the pandemic with the lab shut down and a degradation of practical experience and skill development, and launched a novel way to keep up to date at home. Their only thought was to empower the young researchers of India. Mr. Sudharsan Varatharajan is the CEO of Cambrionics Life Sciences. With a degree in genetic engineering from SRM University, he contributed towards several projects on Duchenne muscular dystrophy and breast cancer metastasis. He was also a visiting research scientist at Karlsruhe Institute of Technology in Germany. An avid researcher, he could not forget his childhood love of encouraging scientists in us all. We would like to welcome Mr. Varatharajan with a round of applause. Dr. Gaurav Srivastava is an assistant professor at Bundelkhand University in Jhansi. He has held several teaching tenures and also has industry experience through his work with Duvet Pharma Private Limited in Kanpur. A PhD from IIT Kanpur, Dr. Srivastava has several publications and citations to his name. His lifelong research journey has made him an expert in how to handle tough situations and get the appropriate solution. Please welcome Dr. Srivastava with a round of applause. I now invite Mr. Varatharajan, followed by Dr. Srivastava, to start today's webinar on how to get hands-on training during the pandemic. I request you all to please keep yourself on mute and turn your video off for the seminar. Please hold your questions for an exciting Q&A session at the end. Mr. Varatharajan, please begin.
Thanks a lot, Charu, Virendra and Nikhil for pulling this up together. And so, hi everyone. I know it's 8:30 night in India, but so happy to see a lot of people here again. Very excited. I'm not gonna talk much. It's gonna be a very short presentation. But before I begin my presentation, I just love to ask you all a question. When we all hear the word biology, what exactly comes to your mind? You can just type it out in the chat box. Or I would rephrase the question, what does biology means to all of us? To you individually, you can just type it out in the chat box. It could be anything. Life, living plus study, okay. What else does biology means to all the other people here? We have Shalini, Gaurav, Swanti, Alberta, Shubham, Vikram. What does biology means to all of you? Something new with technology, very nice. Okay, I'll wait for a couple more seconds. Study of living things, science behind life, very true. Okay, why I asked this question is I'll tell you what the word biology means to me. It always meant explore the unknown to me. So I think that is how my journey with biology started, or my journey with science started. I always love to explore the unknown, and that process itself is actually very exciting. You just consider, no, it could be a kid or it could be an adult, whoever it is, exploring the unknown is always exciting. It not necessarily has to be biology, but for example, say I give you this bottle and I say that there's something very interesting inside. Just because of the unknown factor what's inside, you will probably get curious and start to explore what it is. You will try to drink it, you'll try to taste it. We'll try to do all the other things. Then this is called experimentation, right? So irrespective of whether it's biology or whatever it is, I think exploring the unknown itself is fascinating and exciting. And To me, biology gave me that freedom to explore the unknown, and that's why I love biology a lot. And that's the role biology plays in my life each and every day. Okay, so in the process, uh, 3 years ago, I explored an unknown field called entrepreneurship in biology, and that's how my startup Cambrionics was born. So I'm Sudharsan. I did my bachelor's in genetic engineering, and then I was in Germany for a couple of years doing research, and then I finally came back India to continue on with my startup Cambrionics. So I'll go through a very quick brief. It's not a brief. It's probably going to be a story about four friends. What happened during college and what are we doing now. So it's just going to be a very quick story. I'm not going to bore much. So we were four friends in college who were crazy, who wanted to do a lot of different things in life, especially with biology, because I think everyone would be here able to relate it to me. At some point of time when we study biology, I assume all of you here are biotechnologists or people studying biology. At some point of time, we'll have these crazy ideas, right? Like, because we know that everything is possible, but with biology, we start to have a lot of crazy ideas. What if I can make a plant glow in the dark? What if I can say, like, give me four arms grown? We used to get a lot of crazy ideas. And I think that's how the same journey again started when we were in college. We started to reimagine biology, not in perspective of research, but in perspective of society. So we started to like think about different aspects of biology. What happens if this is doesn't work? What happens if this is a situation? We used to talk a lot about biology. Okay, so after college, we were put up in a situation where we had only very less resources to actually carry out our research or our passion. So research was the passion to all four of us. But one thing that was very what is it? That was very constrained to all of us is resources. Again, everyone will be able to relate to this. Uh, Everyone studied in college or studies in college. We will have a batch strength of 150 to 200 people, but there'll be like maximum 10 microscopes for all these 150 people to use. So what happens is just because there is only 10 microscope for the 150 people to use, we started to have this say the lack of interest problem. We don't listen to the class, we don't do other things, or probably the passionate subject biology just goes away. It was a similar scenario for all of us as well, for especially for us as well. Even though our college was very good, we had very less resources and other things, so we did not have a chance to use microscopes. We did not have chance to use PCR machines and other things. But we did not fight with the department. Uh, um, but rather what did we do was we started to build our own instruments in college. We started to build our own microscopes. We started to build our own PCR machines. We started to build our own centrifuges. And when that process came, it was super exciting because that is when we understood a concept called as interdisciplinary. If you want to be a scientist, just by knowing biology is not going to help you. You need to know physics, you need to know mathematics and other things. Okay. So that is the time that we started Cambrionics. So as it says, our vision is basically biology for all. We want to make sure that biology is not just seen as a subject, but biology is seen as a lifestyle majorly. Again, a very relatable scenario. If you're a biotechnology student, definitely post pandemic, all your family members, all your friends are going to come to you and ask, what is this? What does a PCR mean? What does a virus mean? And so many other things. And I think now we all realize that biology is very essential. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to know what a bacteria is. We need to know what a virus is and other things, right? So that is what always our vision was about. We need to make biology a lifestyle, but not just as a subject. And when we saw what we are good at, we were actually good at making tools, making DIY research tools, and trying to do research or trying to learn or understand biology using that. So we started to use that, or we started that with Cambrionics. So we first started with education in Cambrionics, as I was telling you. We started to make learning tools like say microscopes, centrifuge, PCRs, and we used to take to schools and colleges in India and probably help people understand biology. Okay, So the first tool that we built was microscope. So we all know how important microscope is to all our college practicals, labs, and research. So this was one of the most initial models of microscope that we built. So the one that you see on the left side, this is my colleague in Germany. So we were using the microscope that we built in Germany to probably validate the results and other things. So if you actually look at it, I think she's looking at a zebrafish under the microscope. And the second one is again, it is a workshop that we did in a school in France. So we again tried these microscope with different age groups. We tried it in as elemental as a school, and we tried it in as high as a research lab. And it is always fun when we construct this microscope and use it. Okay, this is going to be even more interesting. So once we started to build our own microscope, we cannot just stop it there. So we wanted like even more. So we started to build something called Laminar Airflow, in which we actually do the basic microbiology work. So if you look and it's just beautiful, no? You just look at the image on the right, you're gonna have this beautiful kid who's sitting there and just writing on the plate very professionally. If like again, if any microbiology students or any microbiology people, just see how professionally this kid sits and writes. And the girl on the left, how beautifully she has streaked in the agar plate. I think even we as adults, we actually tear the agar plate, but just see how beautifully this kid has done. So what we realized was when we give such DIY tools in the hands of children or start cultivating the, say the science of, or the culture of science when they're still young, I think it's gonna like show up a lot of difference in their learning and education and what's or not. So this is where we started with. We started with schools in giving them the research tools, whatever we have learned and we have used, and we saw a huge change in the learning processes. Okay, and right after the pandemic, when we again realized that the college students cannot go to lab after 2 years, at least for 2 years, they'll not be able to have proper resources. You're going to have skill problems. You need to develop a lot of skills for your masters or for your job after your BTech. So we realized that this is going to be a huge gap. This 2.5 years of pandemic is going to take a huge gap on all the biotechnology people. Okay, so we wanted to build a tool. We want to build a basic tool that is going to empower you right at your house. Okay, and that's what we call this bio research box. So it has just the basic tools. It has microscopes, it has pipettes, it has the bacterial culturing kit, DNA kit, and other things, with which right at the comfort of your house, you can actually do experiments. You can actually learn. You will not be able to do research. It's not a research kit, but it's a complete learning kit that is going to help each and every one of you understand the basics and probably keep the spark of biology up and in. So our bigger vision is probably like to have a geometry box for biology. Just imagine what if every biotech student has a Kuti geometry box kind of a thing. So this is the vision that we're actually working towards. Individual research kit for every biology student in India that will help you upskill your biology skills or your research skills for either your masters or for your job. It's very simple. Whatever you do in lab, you can actually do it at your house itself. So this is what basically the box contains. It has like say pipettes, microscope, sample collection kit, Eppendorf's, Petri plates, and other things. So it actually took 3 years to build or to come up to such a stage where we found a lot of use cases with all these things with different age groups. So the one that you see on the left is the PCR that we built. The right is again the microscope that still my lab in Germany uses. And the one in the extreme right is basically what the kids which we use in schools. So one more thing which I want to share with all of you is as biology students or as biotechnologists, research is not the only path to us in terms of career is what I really want to tell. There are so many different fields associated with biology that you should explore. Like again, we're again coming back to where I started, explore the unknown. And only after I started Cambrionics, I started to explore different things in biology itself. Trust me not, there's something called a science communication, I think which BioPatrica is doing, and it's a great field. If you are a science lover, you love to write, you love to like show things through visuals, be it video, photographs, whatever it is. Science communication is a huge field which you all should can explore. If you are not a research person but you love to talk to people, I think there's something called genetic counseling, which you guys can actually try seeing it in other things. If you're a very analytical person, we have forensic science, we have forensic biology that you all can actually look into. So there are so many different opportunities that all of us have other than just research in front of us. Okay. And I explored all these things only because I took up entrepreneurship in biology. Even though I loved research, this was the path that I wanted to take, and so I am here today. So again, so it all just talks about what are the things that is actually inside, where and all it can be used, and other things. Finally, before I end, I just want to tell one thing that I learned very much. Charu, how did you stop yourself from getting upset over the lack of resources? Yeah, very nice, Charu. Like, again, it was a very different scenario. Like, usually we get frustrated, usually we fight with the department, usually we just walk away. But the thing is, like, solving that challenge was very interesting to all of us. And very luckily, I had like minded friends who was ready to solve the same problem with me, so who was very like-minded to solve the same problem with me. I think that is why maybe I did not get upset, because I had my friends with me back then in college, and even now it is the same set of friends who are my co-founders, and with whom we are still running the company. So I think that is a like huge energy to me to keep it going what's or not. So that is one thing. And finally, I just want to tell, like, at the end of the day, all of us are working in the field of biology. And I think we all should believe and trust that with research, the possibilities are always limitless. Okay. When I say research, it could be basic research. It could be research in any terms. It could be research in any context that you get. It could be literally whatever you feel that this is researchers. But with research, the possibilities are always limitless. Okay. And one more thing that helped me as a person is never forget to explore and experiment in life, because I think all of us are very young. We still have a lot more years to do a lot of things. So never forget to explore and experiment in life. I think that itself is a huge challenge. Uh, I'm an entrepreneur, but I don't earn much now. At least in the early years, I don't earn much. I have a lot of problems in company, in family, personal, and other things. But this is a complete different thing that I wanted to explore and experiment. Okay, so everything will have its own setbacks, everything will have its own pros and cons, but just never fail to experiment and explore. So that's all I really want to discuss with all of you today. And thanks for having me here.
Thank you so much, Sudarshan. That was
Yeah.
such a wonderful talk and such a beautiful way that you took us through your journey, and you really emphasized the meaning of PsyConnect here. Like, we want to know more about the journey than the final destination. And I think your ideas, and I also saw on your LinkedIn profile that you've been doing this since high school, and you also mentioned it here. I think like it's such a beautiful culmination of everything. So I think like everybody can put their questions in the chat box. We'll just have Gaurav also talk to us, and then can we do the questions together, if that's okay? So everybody, thank you. Just keep putting your questions and comments in the chat box, and we'll discuss all of them with our guests. And Gaurav, we would now like to invite you to share your journey with everyone.
Hello. Actually, I'm basically not an entrepreneur currently, like Sudharshan, and I have not been into this field actually for this hands-on experiment at home. So during the pandemic and even before the pandemic, I was always worried about the students, because most of the students, I mean, around 95% of the students did not have the hands-on lab skills. No, as Sudarshan rightly pointed out, that his was a very good college, and still there were one microscope for around 10 to 15 students. Now we all can imagine that there are numerous colleges, very small colleges there that do not have a single microscope. Okay, and this is one of the major problems that biotech has been defamed. No, because most of the students after their second or third year uh, can be found saying that biotech has no scope. I have always been trying to tell them that biotech has a scope and there are a lot of opportunities. As Sudarshan rightly said, that research is not the only opportunity in biology. So, but you need to be equipped. You need to be equipped with hands-on experimentation. You need to know how the instruments work and how to proceed with different experiments. So from there, when the pandemic started, actually BTech, I think all over India, BTech have a internship during the third year and second year, where they have to get some hands-on experience from a lab or industry. And when the pandemic started, most of the students didn't find anything where they can get trained from. So then I reached my friends, Sandeep and Ajay and Anil Sharma, who is also an IIT graduate, and we started working on this EdMOOCs. That was basically only for a wet lab hands-on e-learning experience for the students during the pandemic. This was not started as a entrepreneurial pursuit, but in order to help my students. But then it grew, and we moved on to for an entrepreneur pursuit. So the main problem that we found out that no hands-on training via online mode. Most of the training centers started online training, and they only had webinars or some classes only, and there was no hands-on experience. Even for bioinformatics training, most of the institutes that were providing bioinformatics training, I found out that those trainings were not activity based. Those were only like regular classes. And the second problem that I figured out is the most of the students will not get the physical lab experience, and thus most of the industry will not prefer them. And actually, somewhere I saw an advertisement that specifically mentioned that they did not want the 2020 batch of students. That this was a job application for a job profile. We came up with EdMOOC, and we came up with three solutions. First was activity-based sessions that included mainly bioinformatics, and we decided some of the experiments that can be done along with the student. The instructor sits along with the student and helps him through. The next was similar to Sudarshan's. However, I did not knew that Sudarshan was there earlier. I came to know about Sudarshan through Virender, and thus we started a experiment at home kit kind of thing, and we did this split screen guided data analysis also for the students. So currently we have especially designed job oriented courses for biotechnology, agriculture, chemical, engineering, environment, pharmacy, food tech, and entrepreneurship. But all of these do not have experiment kits. For experiment kits, we have, especially for biotechnology, we have basic biochemistry, enzymology, environment, wastewater treatment, mushroom, solid waste management, chromatography, even a spectrophotometer, and food and water testing. Now, I would like to mention that, like Sudarshan had developed a microscope, we developed a spectrophotometer that can be used through the mobile phone itself. So this is just for, but actually, when you hear, as Confucius rightly said, I hear, I forget, I see, I remember, and when I do, I understand. So most of the students need to do something to actually understand what is the basic principle behind those experiments or even the analytical techniques. So we send the experiment kit to the students at home. The students get a set of video lectures and also live sessions. The students then performs those experiments that were basically planned through those experiment kits and video lectures, and thus gets a skill for the job or whatever he is trying to pursue in future. This is, I wanted to show the video, but I don't think that would be possible right now. This in the right left upper corner, it is our mushroom kit, and below that is our chromatography kit. So in mushroom kit, we give all the requirements, even for the spawn production, and as well as the production of the whole mushroom. And for even for chromatographic kit, we give different type of chromatography papers, different type of packing material, dyes, and so that the student can understand how packing material affects the separation of analytes. So during this 1 year, we sold around thousands of kits and have major clients like Bundelkhand University, Integral University, Institute of Advanced Research from Gandhinagar, and many different small UPT colleges. UPT is from Uttar Pradesh Technical University, and many different colleges from there also. So this is our team. Me, myself, actually, I wanted to tell this thing that I recently resigned from my job at Bundelkhand University and joined full-time with Sandeep, Ajay, and Anil. And me, myself, I am an IIT Kanpur graduate heading the R&D team. Anil Sharma is MTech from IIT Roorkee, and then we have our two other friends who did our BTech together, Sandeep Kumar and Ajay Tiwari. Okay, so this is what I wanted to tell you. Are there any questions? I'm open for it.
Yeah. Hi, Gaurav.
Hi.
Yeah, it was a very nice talk. As a science researcher myself, I'm quite fascinated to see small kids like what you have developed for young kids. These kits are essential for various kids to inculcate science and get more spirited towards more research and other things. And the science taboo, like people think science is not for them, but actually science is for anyone.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
and
so
actually, we have been trying to develop kits for each and every lab activity, because like Sudharshan's bio box, we are trying to develop a microbiology lab kit, a biochemistry lab kit, an environment lab kit, food lab kit, so that places where there is no facilities. I have seen colleges here in UP itself that are affiliated to UP Technical University. They do not even have a laminar or an autoclave. They don't even have a spectrophotometer. Most of the even I've seen colleges that do not have a test tube, a single test tube. I've seen those colleges. So for those colleges, I wanted that if we can develop these kits for each and every experiment that is in the syllabi. Okay, so that colleges can not purchase heavy equipment, but the students can purchase these kits and do all the experiments. Right?
Yes, wonderfully put, because there are lots of colleges and resources are always a problem. But these kits, I'm sure, will help a lot of students and labs and colleges all across India. And then it will be quite useful for them to go into science and make more people into research.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not
Thank
only
you, Gaurav,
research,
for this excellent display, and I'm sure you'll get more contacts.
Yeah.
Gaurav, thank you so much for this wonderful talk. I mean, it's really, and also congratulations on changing your role now and pursuing this entrepreneurial venture full time. I think, first of all, it takes a lot of courage to actually follow your dreams. And I would also request Sudharshan to switch on his video and mic and stuff, so that we can have a discussion with everyone. I think we are just enough participants that we can have a healthy discussion here. And I know that Jaya wanted to ask a question. So she's the first one who put something in the chat box. Maybe she can just ask it directly.
You have asked for Sudharsan, right? Who are the suppliers for the kit?
Yeah, and then like I want to ask you also the same question. So like you've prepared this kit, and like I mean in science we know the big names.
Actually, Charu, when I reached out to Sandeep and Ajay, they already had a company, that is Fabito Labs. Yes, in Lucknow. That was R&D based by the company, and they have been doing R&D for agriculture and food tech since 2017.
Yeah.
So that is why I reached out to them and wanted something to come up so that the students can benefit. So the kits have been prepared in the lab itself at Fabito Labs.
Okay. Yeah, that's really nice, because I mean we only know like the major names of biology and like all the people who supply equipment. So it's nice to know that these things can also be first of all made in India, which is a big deal, and it empowers so many of us. And then we also have the confidence that we can actually make all of these things on our own, and that also I feel is one of your ideas. So I think Alberta wanted to ask you, what advice do you have for scientists navigating into the world of entrepreneurship?
Science, being a scientist, you got the science right? But to be an entrepreneur, you need to get your commerce right. Okay, it is not only about your idea that you can jump into entrepreneurial journey. It is also and is very important to understand the basics of business. So unless you have that basic right, please do not jump into it, because it took me a lot of courage, and I did a lot of learning to leave my academic career behind and then come to this entrepreneurial journey.
Thank you, Gaurav, for responding. Jaya, you have asked a question.
Hi. Yeah, so my question was to Sudharshan. So since you have some of those instruments like that can also be used by research labs and R&D institutes. So for instance, you have already a pipette in your toolbox. So why not do you plan to like kind of increase the accuracy or make them research grade so that you could also leverage to the R&D institutions in India? Maybe I think you might have a plan.
Hi Jaya, thanks a lot for putting up that question. The plan is, again, we do not want people to do groundbreaking research with our boxes, but we want first people to learn and use. Like how Gaurav said, pointed like rightly, there are still a lot of places in India who actually do not have even the basic resources for first to use and learn and understand. So that is where we again try to like solve the problem. Like obviously later on we can always improve it to the research grade, but the need for right now in India is probably for people to make these tools accessible to them for learning purposes, and that's what we're trying to solve here.
Okay, so thank you. So currently both Gaurav and you, your target customer and market is the school and college students. Yeah, so that's a great initiative. Thank you.
I would like to add something. Sudharshan.
Yeah, Gaurav.
Yeah, actually, we think that the kits are for kids and just basic learning. But from my experience, one of the students from a private university in Gurgaon, that is StarX University, she got stuck up with her PhD work during the lockdown. And she contacted us for our environment. Her work was based on this Ganga pollution. She contacted us for our environment kit and did some research with our kit also. So although not major research, but her work did not stop during the lockdown. So I think it is up to the individual what he or she wants to do with those kits and the experiments that can be done through those kits, right?
Very true. Yeah. As you said, very true. I think we are just providing them the tools and it's up to
Yes,
them to explore the possibilities with that.
yes. Because I was also amazed because she did some wonderful work and generated some data from those kids. I did not expect that from, I mean, anyone.
So I like to add to this. So if we like see the journey of Foldscope, I think it started with like helping school children to learn about microbes. But if so, I think there are multiple people who are even doing thesis using Foldscope. And it's not like just school children or college children. There are, I think, like professors involved in this project.
Yeah.
So the same way, like it's about like these kits which you people are providing. So if we try to expand, I think it will be like good initiative. Like people can do few things at their home itself. So they don't need like highly equipped labs. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so this is, I think, just a start, and in future, like you will be like amazed to see like how people start using these kits.
Yeah. So we have a question from Swanti, and then Alberta, I think, would like to hear Sudarshan's comments on the entrepreneurship question. So Swanti, can you unmute yourself and ask your questions, please? Okay, she says she's not able to unmute, so I'm going to read out her question. She wants to know, what are your future plans regarding taking this initiative forward? And if the kits are available according to knowledge level. So for example, for schools below class 5, above class 5, advanced. As you said, you're trying to create kits which correspond to syllabus.
Yeah, Swanti. Hi, Swanti. So the future plans is we have different plans for schools and for colleges. So for schools, right now, the plan is to create a standardized curriculum for biology, where every experiments you can try learning hands-on. And yes, we have curriculum boxes based on the knowledge levels, as you rightly pointed out. From grade 4 until grade 12th, we have separate learning boxes for biology. So yeah, that's what we do, and we work with few schools in India as well as few in Europe, and trying to cover up curriculums and other things. And for colleges, the goal is to make these tools accessible. And what we're trying again to make these tools accessible is like how Gaurav said, pointed towards a job, make them skilled towards their job, or probably just equip their research skills for their masters if they want to do it abroad. I think as biotechnologists, these are the two fields that we actually want to do. Either we want to go for a master's or we want to end up in a job. And I think this is what our plan is again, to probably upskill you in either of these fields based on your interest. And I'm just continuing the Alberta's question. Alberta Joseph, yeah, question. The question is, scientists navigating into their world of entrepreneurship. Super. So why, firstly, I got interested in into the field of entrepreneurship is when I was working in IISc Bangalore. I came across this wonderful group of scientists called DART. They're basically Duchenne Muscular Analysis and Trust. So they're a group of scientists who are trying to find out a cure for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It's a neuromuscular degenerative disease. So that is when I really found out that whatever the research that is happening inside the four walls of the laboratory actually comes out to the society to make a difference. So I think now most of the scientists have actually started to like make their own startups, start their own companies and other things. So only thing that from my experience, I would like to add is just see if you're actually trying to solve someone else's problem. If we are not trying to solve someone else's problem in this world, I think entrepreneurship is going to be a little difficult, because initially it'll always be very sweet. It'll always give you, it'll always be nice to you. But later on, entrepreneurship is going to take a hard toll on all of you. That's the real truth, actually. There's no like, I'm not being very sugar coated and telling entrepreneurship is cool and other things. The real fact is it is hard. You need to be consistent. You need to be patient, and you need to solve people's problem. That is first thing. My mentor always used to tell me, okay, like we claim this is revolutionary technology. We claim, every scientist claim that my product is revolutionary, my technology is revolutionary. Until and otherwise people don't accept that technology is revolutionary, whatever you created is definitely not revolutionary.
If we haven't accepted that CRISPR is revolutionary, CRISPR will not be accepted revolutionary. Only because all of us think that Apple product is revolutionary or Apple really made a change in the trend of the market, it is revolutionary. So again, I'm again coming back to the customers or people again. If we are not solving people's problem, then we are not doing entrepreneurship. So I think that is one thing that has to be constantly in your brain.
Thanks very much for the comments. I think it ties in nicely with the whole concept of business model, etc. And I had one more question, which was started to answer. One person mentioned never fail to explore. And it would be nice to hear what were some of the other mentors you had in the front of you, or mentors from the past that would have inspired you as you go along this journey with the project and with the business. What type of mentors or persons you looked up to keep you going?
Yeah, Alberto, got it. So my first mentor was my professor in Germany. So he never actually guided me in my project. He never told me what to do next. He always made me ask what next. So whenever I ask him what next am I going to do, he used to ask me the same question. Why don't you talk to yourself and come back to me and decide what next are you going to do? I think that started to like make me explore or make me experiment in other things. He gave me that space to experiment. I think that was my first thing. He supported me when I told him I want to do my startup. So I really want to go back to India and other things. So he gave me that space to explore and experiment. And my and the other mentor who I have in Chennai or who I have in India, again, he makes me fail. The only thing that he tells is the more you experiment, the more you fail. And the more you fail, you have more probability of again coming back stronger and succeed. So the entire concept of exploring and experiment is not to actually succeed. Yeah. It's to probably fail so that you know what to do next and what not to do next. I think that is what something we should always. So whenever, even as a company, right, whenever we try with a new experiment, we know that 99% it's going to fail. That's why it's an experiment. But we still need to make sure that 1% comes along well and other things. So that is very interesting aspect actually.
All right, I'm going to read out Swanti's message. She writes, "It is great to know that Sudharsan sir and Gaurav sir found great teams. What would you both suggest to students who are looking to find like-minded or interdisciplinary teams, example, making apps relative to biological concepts?" So maybe Gaurav, you can share first.
Yeah, Swanti, actually, you need to network a lot. You need to talk to people. Until and unless you talk to people, you will never find like-minded people, because you will never know what the other person is thinking of. Me and Sudharshan got connected through Virender. Virender was the common link between us, and that is how you come across like-minded people. Because I did not know that Sudharshan and Cambrionics was existing, because I did not search for much on the internet. I just jumped into making kits and those courses for the students. And then when Virender saw this, Virender told me that some other guy named Sudharshan is also doing the same thing. I think I should connect you with him. This is how people come together. So don't keep your idea to yourself. No one can steal your intelligence or your mind. Okay, people can copy your idea, but cannot actually steal your idea. And copy is always inferior to the actual product. No. So feel free to discuss with people, and you will definitely find some like-minded people.
Yeah, I think like what you're saying is so nice and such a positive thing for anyone that is moving into this. And Swanti also writes great advice. So I think, like, this is going to be this is a really interesting topic for everyone, because deep within our hearts we all want to do something, we all have ideas and we want to explore it. So I think everyone can it's okay with if it's okay with Gaurav and Sudharsan, I think everyone can contact them. We have their LinkedIn profiles in our advertisement for the webinar on the Biopatrika website, and you can also write to us for their emails if that's okay with both of them. Yeah, okay, excellent. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to stop this discussion because it's going to be endless otherwise, and let's continue it on personal email. And it was so nice to have all of you. Before we go, we do have a very special announcement. So I think Nikhil.
Yes. So thank you, Gaurav, and thank you, Sudarshan, for this wonderful initiative spreading science to everyone through their homes rather than just sticking to the college or schools. So for our viewers, I believe, as Charu mentioned, the kits are available by the link, and there'll be some door discount.
I think this was just such an amazing session. I have gotten so much insight into entrepreneurship. And, I always did think, and I think all of us do think about these problems that we face regularly with the lack of facilities in colleges, and also with a heavy lack of things presently during the pandemic, because a lot of BTech a lot of bachelor's and master students are forgetting how to pipette. And I mean, I've been on a break for a few months now, and I also feel like if I go back to lab, I won't know how to pipette or like streak a plate or like, do something like that. So I think these are great kits. And I think in the email that was sent to all the invitees, it's at 20% off. I mean, I would buy it all full price. So just go on ahead, buy it, write to Gaurav and write to Sudharshan and write to us, give us your feedback. Thank you so much for joining us. And if anybody else has any other views before we go, then now's the time to share it. Otherwise, it's good night or good morning, depending on where you're joining from.
Yeah, Darul. Nice to be here. It was really a nice session. And I was thinking, because this came up, how do you find like-minded people? I think Biopatrika can start a group or something that where we can share our ideas and invite students to share their ideas. And through all our efforts, through Biopatrika, through EdMOOCs or Fabito Labs, or through Sudarshan's, we can provide them some incentives in form of internships or some resources so that they can start working on what they really want to do. So if we can do that, if it is possible, that would be great, I suppose.
I think it's a great idea. So as like I was discussing with both of you, so it is sort of like a community internship kind of thing. So
right.
So yeah, so I know like all the programs, they want us to do internship during at least when we are doing graduation and sometimes during masters. But it's not always about just like joining some lab and know few things, but it's all about like educating ourselves and educating others. So if you have ideas, so definitely we'll try to make some platform where we have like say mentors who already are like pursuing something, and then you can like bring your new ideas, and one can like then come up with something which is quite new, and you will learn and you can teach others in your community as well.
Yes, Virendra, as you mentioned, this community feeling of helping each other is absolutely necessary in this current last 2 years, as we've been seeing. And I hope more students join our Biopatrika, and we can have a forum sometime later to understand what the people are actually thinking and what they need. We are on the other end currently. We are not students anymore, and we wish more students join us as for Biopatrika or for other forums and share their ideas.
Yeah, but you know, Nikhil, you brought out a very important point, and now I just want to mention it quickly, that you said this is a good we're on the other side, and this, for example, this talk was originally catered for bachelor's and master's students, but now that I've heard Gaurav and Sudharshan, I feel like, they are on the other side with us, recognizing a problem and finding a solution. And that is really inspiring me to look within and, just to look around and see like all of those things that I used to complain about, like I asked originally, like, how could you not get angry that you don't have these things, and just like go productively looking for a solution. So like now I'm looking around, and then I'm thinking that this can be answered and it's possible. It's not something that I'm just like nahi ho payega.
Exactly. Spoken like a true scientist.
Yeah. So thank you so much, everybody. And we say bye now. Please join us again for our next webinar. Write to Gaurav, write to Sudharsan, write to Biopatrika and SciConnect. And do stay tuned for our podcast series on entrepreneurship for everybody who's interested in learning more.
Thanks a lot, Charu, and thanks a lot, Virender. It was super fun to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.